Good morning everybody again, it's Jeff from Goldfish and Ghost Aquariums. This video I'm going to do today is actually one that's been asked a lot of me. Probably avoided doing it because it's probably going to take a little while doing. It's how I built my fish rooms. Where did I start? How much it cost. Now I'm not going to go into the costs because I've built this over a few years and I've tried to go through the costs. It's impossible. All the different little bits of fittings I brought, I'd be here for days trying to work out how much things cost me. Let's just say it wasn't cheap. And if anybody wants to get into fish and want to build this system, yeah, it's not cheap. I think we'll see if anybody's seen any of my other videos, the shrimp rack there. I think I worked out that that's $1,500, nearly $2,000 with all the tanks, the shrimp that's in it as well. There's some plants, there's some substrate, there's that. Today we're going to concentrate not so much on fish and shrimp. We're going to concentrate on the building part of it. Where did I start? Some materials I used, and also how the system runs. We all know it runs off of solar. I haven't banged on a lot about solar over the period of time. In saying that, there's an Asian bloke in America done a video on me. I think his name's Lay. Goldfish Corner, I think it is. If you go back over that, yeah, there's a video on my solar system that runs this. And yeah, can do one on that one day. Put in the comments and I can do more on it. We'll do a passing of it today. I don't like to bang on too much about it because if you're not into the solar side of it, it might go over your head and you might just say, well, I'm not interested in it. So, but if you are interested, please put in the comments and I'll gladly do one on it. I'm not an expert, I'm not an electrician. I have a building background. So that's me to start. Now I've had to write down a few notes here simply because so much is going on here. The first thing is I can tell you there's 11,000 litres of water here. Sorry for you American people, I haven't converted that into gallons, but it's 11,000 litres here, and that's with some biofilter, swell filter as well. You know, there's 4 1,000 litre IBCs, or you Americans, totes as you call them, and lots of other stuff. So before we go on any further, I've got in here, most people know that's watched any of my videos, and once again I might be able to go on how I done that, the outside area. So I've got an outside area too. We won't go in there. That probably holds quite a lot of litres too. There's probably quite a few thousand litres out there. But just inside the shed, I've got 30 tanks, 4 100 litre or 4 1,000 litre IBCs. There's 5 160 litre grey tubs along here. There's 2 100 litre tubs underneath. There's one 120 that holds my mutt shrimp and some gambusia. 5 15 litre tubs, 7 5 litre tubs, and 3 20 litre tubs. And I'm not sure I wrote them down. I didn't. There's 2 600 litre blue. One's a swell filter, one's a biofilter. But so before we go walking off, the pump I used was a Resun 70 litre pump, and amazingly it does all this, not a problem. So when you want to fit out your shed or your room, a lot of people put I've seen put their racks and tanks in, and then they want to work out where they want to put their air system, especially running dilute. We all know it's better running dilute than having just a closed end because it gets too much air at those ends. So I would highly recommend that you sit down and plan it well. I made mistakes here. We'll go through some of those. But I've got a large area, so I could probably afford to make mistakes. But if you're in an enclosed room, and if you've got let's just say a 20 by 20 room, and you've only got one access door and one window, it's probably not too bad because you're going to be able to situate things wherever you want. But instead of getting there and planning your racks and where I want my tanks and all that, work out if you're going to have sumps, if you're going to have water running, you're going to have power points, you're going to have your air running to loop. If you're just going to have a square 20 by 20 room, we'll pick on that, and you run to loop around there, that's absolutely fine because you drop your droppers straight off of it. But if you've got a funny angled room and you find it hard to get to certain parts of it, be careful where you situate tanks, and that you can get air to it. You can get water to it. So I class this a semi-automatic fish room. I'll talk to you that on the way around, why I class it as semi-automatic. To me, automatic is when you've got holes in the back of your tanks, the water goes in and it goes out and keeps replenishing it constantly. Me, I just have valves I open once a week, and then I have a sump and basically fill the sump back up like that. My tanks up there where we're going to talk about, they've got all valves and which runs from the sump. I just open those valves and they top up, but I do get a hose and I stick down in, I've got an a PVC system that runs through and flows out to the garden. We're going to look at that in a minute too. But let's have a little look at this list here that I've wrote. And so we've done the air system. We're going to have a better look at that. Now bear with me, it might take a little while this video, so I hope you enjoy it. And let's start from the start. And I can tell you, now I've had fish for a long time. This is the biggest setup that I've had. Now when I first come out to this house, because we had this one, we've had it for about 20 years. We brought another house, we moved into that, and then we come back to this one because we preferred this one. All right, so I think in America you call these cinder blocks. We call them Besser bricks here. All right, so there's your Besser bricks, and this is how I made that. So they are, as I said, I've got to talk in Australian terms, peoples, I'm sorry, but they are 90 by 35 treated timber for water. Now I have 3 running through there, and they run all the way through here. Now they got the Besser bricks under there, and I didn't want to take it up with, if I put Besser bricks there, it'd take up too much room. So I decided to do this extra strength through here, and that gave me a little bit more room. So it allowed me to put my 4-foot tank there, and a 3-foot there, a 4-foot 3 there, and a 4 there. So that's how I made these. And corners are always a problem. I was lucky I had a power point up in there, and there was already power points here in the shed too, as you see. So I do run some heaters. I don't like too many heaters because electricity is just too expensive in South Australia. So I do run some for some tropical tanks, but I like cold water tanks. But stuff like your plecos and guppies and all that, and they like a little bit of heat. So where are we? So yeah, a corner. This is how I decided to do this corner. I actually stuck back just a little bit here, probably about 150 mil, and then I run the same system through, because that's the first wall I started with there. Like everything, I come out here, put the tanks up and done this, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to do that wall. Within a week I've done this wall. So now while we're here, this is the sump system that holds 500 litres. Now this is what I come up with. These PVC pipes, if you sink them under the water in there, then get caps and put the caps on the end of them, turn it up in the water, remove the caps off of it, the water then will flow from there to there. So the pump is here. I'm sorry, I can't remember how fast that pump goes. Now the pump that's in there, when that pumps out, these all stay the same. They all stay the same, nice and equal. And that's just for them. If they don't stay the same, I know there's getting a little bit of air in there. I went too low. So all I do is do the same system again and put it back in there. And away we go. Now, this is where we go. So, if I get this hose here, and basically this long hose here with this, I'll drop it in there in the tank, and then I'll put it in that pipe right there. Bloody hard doing this on my own. My grandson normally helps me with some bigger, longer videos. So I'll stand back a bit. So then it goes into there, runs down and out through to the garden. Now that pipe there joins down with that pipe that runs along. Now they have little slits in the bottom of them, so the water gets pushed down from this water coming in. The water will go up through the little slits, which drags the fish poo and waste up through this pipe, in through here, around through there, through the swell filter. You can see one going one way, goes through down there, and that pipe goes all the way down. Then it comes back up, and then it comes out there, back into there. 5,000 litre sump pump in there, and that will go back all the way across there, through here, into the spray bars, and across into the grow outs. Well, they're not really grow outs. I actually put all my spawner mops in there and let them hatch out for 2 or 3 weeks before I take them out to grow outs. But we will deal with that in a minute too. So that's the system. That's how it's all linked together. And those valves down there, every now and then, they have the same system. They have like a square, about 1 inch, and I should have made it bigger. There goes one mistake for starters. It should have at least been the size of this 50 mil, at least. So it draws the water out faster and quicker and gets rid of the gunk. So they've got little holes in the bottom of there, the pipe work and all that goes through. And then when I open that, once again, that goes out through and out to the garden, the veggies and the fruit. So, and as you see, this is the system. It goes up through there, back through there, and down into there. While we're just doing the water system, we might as well have a little look. We'll take you around. You see, same system. I haven't put the pipe work on there. All I've got is this at the bottom with a grid on the bottom of it, and have a look how clean it keeps the bottom. Just sucks it up and it goes through. Now they are shells from my local fish store, fish eating store. That keeps the pH level a little bit stable. You always know when they start to deteriorate, sometimes your pH level isn't right. Good indicator that. So this is the 240 one. You can feel it humming away. You can't, but I can. This one here is a 12 volt, 5,000 litre. Now, that is currently not working. See, I can change the valves over and use that if I need to. I've had 2 of them now, and both of them lasted probably a fortnight. So I do not recommend that model, I don't know which one it is, 240, 12 volt, 5,000 litre water pump. They don't last long at all. Alright, so, and that's the one tub I was saying is where the gambusia and just much shrimp are. So let's head back over here. So that's how I built that system, and luckily enough I never built it for them, but these from Pets Domain in Australia, 5,000 litre tubs, if you can believe, squeezed in there absolutely to the millimetre, even to the point I just had to cut a little bit out, like the top like that along there to make them slide in. That's all. They're that tight, but they're perfect under there, and they go back in. That's only half or less sticking out, the rest go back in under there. Excellent size. So that's that racking system here, and to continue on with the water system. Now the pump's down in there, as I said, how that flows over. Now it comes up. Now the valves go up, that valve goes there and into there. We've got one valve goes over and comes out into there. We have valves underneath. So you can imagine it is pretty simple. You just put a hose in there, you suck it and whack it in the end of there, drains it down, and then I open the relative valves. It's like these, and I have heaps of these little fittings around I've made up, and I just put it on there and do whichever one I want at the time. So each one has got that, you see, and they come out there. So, and there's little outlets all over the place so I can drain it out. Now for these ones here, I have a pump here with a hose. I just drop it in there and put the hose in there and drops these down to the level I want, and all I do is I make up that goes on there like that, and the water goes down into there, and that has its own one to go back into there. These ones here, obviously, because they got Medaka in there, I'll just take out every now and then. I'll take a litre of water out and put a litre of water in, that's all. Medakas I tend to do more to top ups, not so much big water changes, only every now and then. So, and this is like the after part of it. So once I built all this, I had 3 IBCs in there, and I had that big system I built and had the solar and the batteries, and yes folks, that was going to be all. But no, I had to buy this 500 litre round that went in here beautifully. Then I brought these. Then I come up with the idea, I've got that much excess water, like pump wise, why not? So I got 2 tables, join it together, and there's still going through there, and I got these 160 litre tubs from Paramount Brown in Adelaide. Now they had a handle part here, and they're about that much high, so I suspect they're only holding about 100 litres now, and because I tried to patch that up but they leaked, so I just cut it down to here, and that is absolutely perfect. So the spawner mops go in here, the babies hatch out in there for roughly a month, then go outside, and there's the 2 100 litre tubs. So, and the beauty of the IBCs, as you see, they do have their own, you know, like cradle that they sit in, so it keeps them off the ground, because I notice they'll get a little bit warmer, but these ones here, these tubs, they spawn a little bit later because they're straight on the ground. The coolness of the concrete, it takes these a little bit longer in summer to heat up. So the last part of the racking system, which, you know, once again, because, you know, I didn't do everything all in a row, I brought this, it had its own, it tucked in here nicely, 4'1" in there. And then this is the racking system that I built for my shrimp. Yeah, it's quite good. And that's the hose up there that comes along there, and the air goes up and runs all the air for here as well. So the next thing we can talk about, lighting. The lighting for here, I predominantly lose. Those are big King's lights that go on cars for camping. These are, sorry about the glare, 12 volt camping lights. Under here, everyone's got a 12 volt camping light. Now these are not perfect for plants. I would class them as just good enough. The plants just grow. They don't, what I see, if you've got the proper ones, they'll grow out of sight. But my plants grow, they grow okay, as you see, but not real fast. There's the 12 volt lights, and they run right around here and underneath there. So they all run off the battery bank. So if I lose power, these keep running. Now I have these here, fluorescent lights. Now if we go back here, they also run off the battery bank, but what they do, they run off of 240. So I might as well do the solar with the light system, I suppose. This is a 3000 watt inverter. So that goes there, and there's a plug up there for the solar that like the air pump plugs into. So as you see, if I turn that off, that goes off, so do the lights. And these lights here, you can see I've only just got the fluoros on in the shed. Half the time I turn off the normal fluoros to the shed and just let everything else run. But as you can see, if you know anything about solar, she bumps straight back up again. So on she goes, and all the lights for her. And that's the beauty, I can run as many lights as I choose, but 12 volt obviously, but I can run 240 lights off of here if I want, but I don't, because these batteries are starting to get a little bit tired now. So that's how the lighting works in here. Now the next thing is, let's do a quick little overview of the batteries. I've got 6 120 amp batteries. I used to have 10, I have 6 now. Right, these are the solar charger controllers. So I've got, it's not going to see, but on that shed over there, running through here, are 1500 watts of solar panels, and they come in there. Now running that distance 12 volt, you get too much drop, so I had to actually wire them to series, which converted them to 24 volt. So 24 volts coming into here, these convert it down to 12 volt, and the battery bank is 12 volt. This is a 12 volt inverter which converts it to 3000 watts of 240 like house power. I have all the kit. It looks a bit messy, a bit birdy, but I've got all the kick-off switches, all the proper fuses, everything like that. You've got kick-off switches. These are the different water pumps, air pumps. This is what's called a desulfator, and that desulfator, what it does, it basically puts a slight little boom, boom, boom pulse through the batteries, and what that does is removes the calcium that gets on there, the sulfate and all that, that actually gets on the batteries and keeps them clean. Otherwise, that's what sometimes your batteries will bulge out and they get a bit gunky. Years ago when we were younger, we used to just get the battery and belt it against something still, and then it would remove some of the calcium in there and all the sulfate and acid. So yes, that's it, and there's the main kick-off there for the 240. So that is our power system. We can do a bigger one on it if you'd like, but this is fish content channel, so I understand a lot of people may not be interested in that. So the next thing is my air system. So there is a Resun. It's 70 litres. Now I did have 100 litre up there, and I've had two of them over time and they shit themselves. It's a different brand, I won't talk about that. And so I went a little bit less option, which is the Resun, a little bit quieter, and that is 70 litre. It's great. It does all of this. When you can have a look, it runs to, so it goes from there, it goes around, and I'll follow it around in a minute. It goes all the way over there, all the way back under here and around, down here. Now this doesn't run to loop. That part of it doesn't run to loop because I need minimal air here, and because I'm using so many outlets, the pressure isn't off tap, if you know what I mean. If you were using the capacity of say 30 litres from a 70 litre, you better run to loop or you're in trouble. You'll stuff your pump up, they'll overheat, you'll blow valves, all sorts of stuff. But this one is probably getting near its maximum, but it is still working absolutely fine. So we'll run that around and we'll have a look. And yeah, so it basically comes down from up there, and if you actually have a look, there's a 12 volt pump. I hope you can see that without me getting the ladder. There's a 12 volt pump and an outlet. So if that shits itself, the 241, I can change over to a 35 litre 12 volt, which just gets me through until I can fix the other one. Handy to have a backup, especially 12 volt. So yes, that goes there and runs along, and then the droppers start dropping down. Stainless steel, as you see, everybody, only stainless steel. Every now and then I've got to take one off and clean it. All you got to do is take the end off and get a bit of wire and poke in it, cleans out a little bit of stuff that's in it, and as you see, and then yes, it runs there and around. Now I even installed this. Now this is so I can fill up my bags like that, and there's the hose there. I just bring it down from there and I can fill up the bag. Doesn't fill it up real fast, but it does fill them up. So it goes from there around to the end, back around through there, back up on top and back around again. Now in hindsight, and I may do one day, probably need to cut it there, come down across there, back again and back up and join in, because this bird nest of wire, not wire but air hose runs through the pain sometimes. That's why I run that black pipe along there, and it worked out a lot better. So where are we at right now? So we have covered making most things. And yeah, well, this was just a little one from Super Cheap Auto, and I put there. How temporary that is, I don't know if I'm going to keep that there. Like these are add-ons over the period of time. This gets back to the building side of it, planning it. Somebody like me, I didn't plan this. I planned this for these aquariums, right? These IBCs, then this come for my big black moors. So I was probably happy with that, but no. I got into shrimp. I got put all these in here. I've got a shed out the other side and shade house where it goes out into all your grow out area. Just didn't stop. This mezzanine floor was built just before, handy as. Get a nice bit of glare off of this insulation around here, helps a little bit. Now if you're in Australia, heating and cooling, if you've got a shed like me and we get days constantly 40 degrees, you need one of these. It's a big Bon Air conditioner, and I'll bring it out and it sits about here and it blows out and around, and it keeps those tanks about 28 degrees, which is perfect. Especially, they'll get to about 32 degrees in here. I've never ever lost a fish through heat stress from the heat from the water. They're amazing. So that's the cooling side of it. If you have got a room and you've got an air conditioner in there, great. Now a lot of people say they like to heat the room. Now I've been in a few setups where they heat the room. I find them stifling. I find them like you feel like you're enclosed in a stuffy hot box. It's dearer to heat everyone individual with heaters, I do understand, but personally I would prefer to do that than heat the whole place. Now this has got no heater in there, it's because it's a big shed obviously, and there will be no heater in here. No, I shouldn't say that, because I do have a log fire that I'm interested in putting in here, but that wouldn't be to heat the tank, that'd be comfort for myself. So I think we've covered most things. Now remember my last video, we talked about Frenzy fish feed. Just before I go, this beautiful company right here. Now Frenzy fish feeds, a Tasmanian company. As you all know, that's like a little island on the bottom part of Australia. Absolutely fantastic. I'm getting some more food sent as we speak, so we're going to do a review on that and unboxing next week. But I do have a code for 10% off. And I'll put it in the description down the bottom. It's Ghost10. Alright, so it's Ghost10. But I will put it in the descriptions on the bottom. So get on board, support them, which supports me. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Hit the notification bell. Comment please. And let me know if you've got a channel that you've built your own or about to build your own. Flick me a link to it. I'll have a look. I enjoy all that stuff. Sometimes I think building it is more enjoyable than running it sometimes, because yeah, things don't go according to plan sometimes. I believe that's just about the end of the video, and yeah, get into it, do it yourself, why not? It's bloody enjoyable, but plan it out first. I was only lucky because I've got such a big area to work with. I could afford to make mistakes. I'm not going to go through now what I would do again. Probably only one thing while I'm here. This racking system along here one day. Take them and have two racks, like two 6-foot tanks along the bottom, and say 4 4-footers or something for grow outs. Maybe look at that in the future one day. But that's it's just something else, isn't it? And be mindful of the money, people. It can be a pit sometimes. So plan it out well, know what you want, and understand you will go above a little bit of what you had planned to start with. Alright, this is Jeff from Goldfish with Ghost Crown. Hope you enjoyed this content, and remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.